So, what if the Bible is more than just a collection of stories or religious laws? What if, hidden deep inside its pages, there's actually a blueprint, a guide for human transformation, a way to unlock a divine potential that, honestly, we never knew we had? Let's explore a very, very different way of looking at this ancient text.
According to this, let's call it an esoteric view, the Bible isn't really one book. It's 3 books, all layered right on top of each other. 3 distinct hidden layers of meaning, and each one reveals a deeper truth than the one before it.
So we're going to climb this ladder together, okay? We'll start with the most common, everyday understanding, and then move up toward the most profound, and frankly, the most radical ideas. It's a journey from the literal to the allegorical, and then finally to the coded.
Our journey begins right on the ground floor. This is the interpretation that most of us are familiar with. This is the Bible as the law.
So in this first layer, you take everything at face value. The text is understood literally. The stories, they're historical records. The rules, they are direct commands from a divine authority. This is the interpretation most of us learn first. It's super straightforward, and it's really the foundation for many of the world's biggest religions.
What this does is it sets up a very clear, almost transactional relationship with God. God is the ruler, and our job is to obey. If you're good, you get rewarded. If you rebel, you get punished. It's a simple framework, and it's the bedrock. But as we're about to see, it's just the very beginning of the journey.
All right, let's climb up to the second layer. This is where the entire perspective shifts dramatically. We turn away from external history, and we look inward. This layer frames the Bible not as the world's story, but as your story.
And this is a huge leap, right? In this view, the Bible becomes a poetic allegory, a metaphor for the different stages of a single human life. Every character, every major event, even God, is just a representation of an aspect of you.
So this layer reinterprets these famous tales in a deeply personal way. Adam and Eve aren't historical figures anymore. They are a symbol of your own childhood innocence. And the snake, the fruit, the fall from grace, well, that becomes an allegory for discovering sexuality and the profound shame that can sometimes come with it.
The allegory just keeps mapping onto your life. The story of Cain and Abel is seen as a blueprint for our teenage years. That really turbulent time when the ego forms, and it brings with it all that jealousy, competition, and internal conflict. The first murder in the Bible, it symbolizes the birth of the competitive self.
And this allegorical journey continues with the exodus from Egypt. Here, Egypt isn't someplace on a map. It's a state of mental slavery. And Pharaoh, whose name in Hebrew can mean wild leader, symbolizes our own unfocused, chaotic mind. The exodus, then, is that personal journey we all take to gain control over our own thoughts.
And then you get to King Solomon, who represents the absolute peak of our potential. He built his entire empire not with violence, but with wisdom, diplomacy, and cooperation. This stage represents achieving mastery in your own life, ruling your own little world with love and peaceful power.
Finally, the story of Jesus is completely reframed as a guide for confronting our own mortality. His ability to show love despite being tortured becomes a model for us, for how to face sickness and the end of life, not just with endurance, but with real, profound love and grace.
Okay, so we've seen the Bible as history. We've seen it as personal allegory. But this third and final layer, well, it presents the most radical idea of all. This is the Bible as a code.
So in this third layer, the narrative itself, everything we just talked about, is seen as just a vessel. The stories are like a beautiful container for something else entirely, a hidden system of objective knowledge about the true nature of reality.
So how does this code supposedly work? Well, according to mystical traditions like Kabbalah, every single letter in the original Hebrew text also has a numerical value. So, by converting the text into numbers, hidden mathematical patterns are said to emerge. And these patterns allegedly unveil objective knowledge, like a kind of spiritual physics that can be used to directly influence reality itself.
And what does this code unlock? Well, it's said to reveal what some people have called the forbidden sciences. Things like the secret of sound, using specific frequencies to create physical change. Or secret geometry, using symbols that are believed to affect the energetic web of life. Even the secret of matter, understanding how to combine natural elements to change outcomes.
And look, this isn't just a theory. For generations, practitioners have been applying this knowledge using practical tools, talismans, amulets, specific chants, and really complex rituals, all designed to harness these hidden principles of reality. So this brings us to the ultimate question. If this unbelievably powerful code exists, what's its purpose? Why would all this knowledge be hidden away in a sacred text?
I mean, for thousands of years, these kinds of practices have been considered taboo. Some have even called them demonic. So it raises a pretty sharp question. Why was this knowledge suppressed so heavily?
And the reason given, it's all about control, a desire by the ruling classes throughout history to keep this kind of transformative power out of the hands of the ordinary person. To maintain a structure where the few have the power and the many just obey.
But this interpretation argues that the whole point of our journey isn't simply to obey, like Layer 1 suggests. That's the starting line, not the destination.
And it's not even just about personal understanding like in Layer 2. The ultimate purpose, this view suggests, is way more active. Our spiritual journey is a journey of creation.
And this right here, this is the final explosive conclusion of this whole interpretation. The reason this knowledge was hidden was to provide a roadmap, a guide for humanity to evolve, to transform from our current state into creators ourselves. It presents the entire human story as a journey of becoming God.
And that leaves us with a really provocative final thought. According to this view, maybe we shouldn't just be waiting for some heavenly kingdom to arrive through prayer alone. The challenge is to use this hidden knowledge responsibly, to elevate our own consciousness and our world, and to actually construct that divine reality ourselves. A question not just of faith, but of creation.